Introduction. The start of eating Ethiopian-style keto. Dieting using the keto method is not a new fad or a supposed miracle remedy for weight loss. The keto diet has been around since the early 1920s when Dr. Russell Wilder of the Mayo Clinic helped develop it in hopes to help prevent epileptic seizures and diabetes. With decades of research behind it and so many people bettering their health, it's no wonder why the keto diet is still used today. If you're new to the keto diet or are simply trying to learn more about it, don't worry. We will be showing you not only how the keto diet works, but how it can benefit you in many ways while still giving you the freedom to enjoy many of the foods that you love and enjoy. While the keto diet is a diet after all, it doesn't mean that you won't be able to enjoy some truly delicious food. Implementing Ethiopian food into your keto diet will allow you to create some amazingly flavorful dishes while still working to improve your overall health. Not only will you learn about some of the robust flavors commonly used in Ethiopian cuisine, but you'll be shown the culture behind the cuisine, as eating is not just a means to nourish yourself regularly. In Ethiopia, each meal is thought of as a social event, bringing friends, family, and colleagues together to eat and share a bit of their lives. This book will not only breathe life back into your diet through tasty meals, but also teach you about the rich culture that this African country has to offer. When keto and Ethiopian food meet, you have a wonderful mix of balanced meals that will improve your health and incredibly full-bodied flavors that will surely satisfy your appetite and taste buds alike. Whether you're looking to try keto for the first time, dive into Ethiopian food culture, or simply want to diversify your palate, this is the right book for you. We'll be going through the details of the keto diet, Ethiopian food, and how to blend them to get your health on the right track while enjoying some spices from one of the most flavorful parts of the food world. Gone are the days of trying the same old recipes that you've had too many times to remember. Now you'll have something new to cook for yourself, your friends, and your loved ones. Bring everyone together for health and enjoy the amazing foods that Ethiopia has to offer. Chapter 1. The Basics of Keto. As we've already mentioned, the keto diet has a long and fulfilling history. With nearly a century of practice behind it, there's no doubt that it can help people improve their health, prevent serious disease, and even prolong their lifespan. This isn't the only positive side to this diet, however. The keto diet can also boast the ability to eat many of the foods that you currently enjoy, although some in moderation or a different style. For instance, whereas other diets may have you completely restricting your intake or changing the types of foods that you eat, the keto diet simply pushes you towards eating healthy fats while only limiting your carbohydrate intake. You can even use some whole grain carbs while dieting, although the benefit of eating them is already implemented into the diet itself, so it's still wise to limit your portions. We'll go more into detail in this chapter, but rest assured that you'll still be able to eat some delicious food while simultaneously working on bettering your health. Remember to always make sure to keep yourself hydrated, and as long as you follow some of the basic guidelines, you'll be on your way to a healthier life and diet with keto. The concept of the keto diet. At its core, the idea and practice of performing the keto diet are simple. The main aspect of this diet is that you have to reduce your intake of carbohydrates while increasing the number of healthy fats you consume. Most people consume a lot of carbs in their diet, which is normal since our bodies can run off of the sugars that are created when consuming them. Eating carbs raises your glucose levels, and while you can get energy from these sugars, your body can benefit from using fats as fuel instead. This is just one of the factors that make it great for your health. Once you've restricted enough carbs from your diet, your body creates ketones from these fats to use as fuel when sugars are limited. This effectively puts your body through a process called ketosis. What is ketosis? Ketosis is a metabolic state that occurs when you begin to eat fewer carbs, as with the keto diet. Acts 2019. When you start doing the keto diet, or at other times when you restrict caloric intake, your body can transform its stores of fats into ketones, which is where the name of the diet comes from. These ketones are extremely efficient for energy use after they are made from breaking down fatty acids from the stored fats. It may sound a bit odd that this diet promotes eating fats of any kind, but the fact is your body can use these fats as a secondary fuel source, burning them and allowing you the opportunity to lose more weight. In order to get the full benefits of the keto diet, you must fully get your body to go into ketosis. For this metabolic change to occur, you not only have to decrease the number of carbs you take in, but also increase the healthy fats you consume and eat healthier in general. As you do this, the levels of ketones produced in your blood will rise and eventually get you to the state of ketosis. It's important to remember that everyone is different, so always talk to your doctor and nutritionist if available. You want to promote the metabolic state of ketosis in your body, but you want to do so safely and lose weight in a healthy manner. Think about different methods of testing yourself for ketone levels if you can't always visit a doctor's office. While bad breath may be a hint that your body is going through ketosis, it's not the only giveaway and is most likely something that you'll want to fix when it starts happening. 3 main types of physical tests can be done to measure the ketones being produced in your body. While breath, urine, and blood testers have all been experimented with, concluding in some varied results, remember that going to the doctor and being tested by a professional is usually the most accurate and precise method. Furthermore, the methods that allow you to test ketone levels on your own at home can be expensive, so we'd recommend seeing a professional regardless of accuracy for the most part. The different types of keto. While we've already explained a bit about the basic concept of the keto diet, there are a few variations that are used for different needs. Remember, everyone is unique, and your goals may be quite different from someone else's. All of the forms of keto dieting share a few common qualities, which include consuming less than 50 grams of carbohydrates a day while getting about 80% of your daily calories from healthy fats. Norton and Liv, 2019. If you follow these basic rules, you'll be on your way to performing the keto diet already. For those who want to know more of the details, however, we'll be going over the 9 different types of keto diets that are known today. Keep in mind that some of these methods aren't recommended as they don't encourage healthy eating, and while they may end up helping you lose a bit of weight, your overall health may suffer because of them. While there are dozens of methods available, the following is a spectrum of the ones we recommend versus methods we believe to be less beneficial. Remember to always speak to your doctor and nutritionist to learn the methods that are right for you in your current health state. Standard Ketogenic Diet, SKD. Whenever someone mentions keto, they're most likely referring to this classic method since it is the most basic and tested form of the keto diet. The requirements are simple, as we stated earlier. You'll want to limit your carbohydrate intake from 20 and 50 grams daily, which should account for about 5 to 10% of your daily intake. You should also be consuming an average of 70 to 75% of your calories from fat every day and 0.8 grams of protein per pound, or about 20% of your daily calories of body fat daily. If you don't want to struggle with measuring every meal as far as protein is concerned, just be sure to at least eat lean protein in moderation throughout the day, and you'll be fine. SKD is the most basic form of the keto diet, but is also preferred by beginners due to its simplicity. It's also the most studied version of the diet, with research showing that it's a proven weight loss method while still providing other health benefits, like helping reduce the risk of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. It can also improve brain health and promote healthy cognitive function. Modified Ketogenic Diet, MKD. Similar to the standard keto diet, the MKD is just that, modified a bit to possibly suit your needs. If your doctor or nutritionist finds it necessary, or if you're struggling with cutting your carbohydrate intake down as much as the SKD recommends, this method is a bit more lenient. Your allowance of carbohydrates is increased to around 30% of your daily calories, giving you more freedom when it comes to food choices. You should still be eating lean proteins, accounting for another 30%, and healthy fats, accounting for around 40% of your daily calories. This method is great for beginners who may have a harder time cutting down on their favorite foods, allowing them to slowly adjust and build up to doing the standard keto diet if they are comfortable. Remember that the results of your diet may not be as impressive or positive as with the SKD method, however, since you most likely won't be creating as many ketones as with other forms of keto. Cyclical ketogenic diet, CKD. This form of the keto diet is a bit more advanced, as it has you cycling, or changing, your diet from low to high carb eating once or twice a week. You will still be following the standard ketogenic diet, but on the days that are most appropriate, you'll need to switch to eating mostly carbohydrates, adding up to about 70% of your daily calories. This is known as carbo-loading and is popular among athletes that want to boost energy levels and help their muscles recover after exercise as well. Bodybuilders can also use this method to raise their insulin levels, which is a beneficial anabolic hormone they use to increase muscle mass and size. Targeted ketogenic diet, TKD. This method of the keto diet isn't necessarily only for athletes. It can be useful to anyone who is trying to enhance their workouts or adjust to exercising while performing the keto diet. TKD is somewhat of a mix of SKD and CKD in that you are still limiting your consumption of carbohydrates, but the difference is that your only daily allowance of carbs is between 30 minutes and an hour before and after your workouts. Your muscles are believed to work and recover better by utilizing these carbo-loading periods, and you're also more than likely to have another boost in energy during exercise, since your body is already used to using carbs as fuel. High-protein ketogenic diet, HPKD. As the name implies, this method of the keto diet increases the amount of protein you eat when compared to the standard version. This evens out the number of carbohydrates and the amount of fat that you consume per day, making it a bit easier for some people to change their diet or ease into keto in general, depending on their dietary needs. Some may even find it difficult to eat increased amounts of fat with standard keto, making this method even more accessible for them. With HPKD, your intake of carbs is still reduced to about 5 to 10% daily, while your protein is increased to 30%, up from 15 to 20% compared to SKD. This translates to about 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight instead of the 0.8 required in the standard keto diet. Your daily fat intake is also reduced at around 60 to 65% per day, down from 75% compared to SKD. This particular version of keto is also geared towards bodybuilders and others who want to build or sustain their muscle mass through exercise. Be aware, however, that this method is almost catered to those who are working out regularly. If the extra protein isn't being used, your body will convert it into glucose, effectively reversing the ketosis that you're trying to achieve. Restricted ketogenic diet, RKD. While more studies can be done to research the additional benefits of this particular method, RKD restricts caloric intake while also fitting into the keto diet family. This form of keto has been studied and has shown some positives, like the ability to help fight against cancer cells and tumors. Vegan ketogenic or vegetarian ketogenic diet. For those who don't want to consume meat or animal products in general, you can still perform keto while using other sources of protein. As long as you're keeping your carbohydrate intake down and getting your daily needs, you can reap the benefits of this method of keto. You'll have to compensate for the lack of meat and get your proteins and fats from other products like nuts, seeds, and plenty of fruits and vegetables. These types of diets have shown some improved health benefits, which still have to be studied. Dirty keto diet. While this form of the keto diet still restricts your carb intake, it's not recommended. The reason for this is because this type of diet doesn't encourage healthy eating and can have negative impacts on your overall health. Lazy keto diet, As bad as the name of this method sounds, the lazy method of keto isn't worse than the dirty version. While there aren't as many restrictions on the proteins and fats that you can consume daily, it still requires a decrease in carbohydrates, strictly recommending that you eat no more than 20 grams of carbs daily. While this method might be a bit easier for beginners to the keto diet, it may not give you as much of a benefit as previous, healthier methods. Intermittent fasting and keto. Intermittent fasting is a method of restricting the times that you eat, which has many different health benefits depending on your health, dietary needs, and the method of intermittent fasting that you use. While fasting for multiple days can cause you to go into ketosis, it can be extremely difficult to sustain this on its own. Combining the keto diet and fasting can improve health benefits for certain people and is most likely safe, but you should be aware that not everyone should implement both of these at the same time. When done safely, however, it can help you reach ketosis faster and lead to more weight loss, specifically more of a drop in body fat than with just intermittent fasting or the keto diet alone. Combining fasting with your keto diet can even help you keep your muscle mass while still safely losing body fat. Once you are accustomed to intermittent fasting, it can also help reduce the feelings of hunger and help you feel more full throughout the day. Kubala, 2018. Keep in mind that it can be difficult for some people to perform both intermittent fasting and the keto diet. Diets in general are not usually recommended for those who are pregnant or breastfeeding, as well as if you've ever had a history of eating disorders. Depending on any health conditions you may have, it can also be risky to combine these types of diet plans. Always consult with your doctor before changing your diet or attempting to fast for any length of time. Keto for diabetes and prevention. We've already talked about the basics of the keto diet and the different methods you can use to implement it into your diet. But now, we'll be going into detail about the actual health benefits this great diet can provide. While most people will start performing the keto diet simply to lose unwanted pounds, this diet is much more than that. While weight loss can also help in and of itself, many studies have shown that following a ketogenic diet for a prolonged period of time can greatly reduce the risk for diabetes and even helps diabetics regulate and manage their blood sugar. Staying on a keto diet can also help reverse insulin resistance, which is one of the factors that can lead to many of the symptoms of diabetes. Acts 2019. Other health benefits. On top of these already amazing health benefits, there are even more reasons to start dieting using the keto method. Some other benefits of using the keto diet can include reducing the risk, slowing progression, or improving the outcomes of heart disease-related risk factors, cancer and slowing the growth of tumors, Alzheimer's disease, epilepsy and the seizures it can cause, Parkinson's disease and its symptoms, polycystic ovary syndrome, brain injuries. Keep in mind that while there have been studies on these effects, much more research has to be done in order to make it conclusive. That being said, the keto diet has been shown to help people suffering from these ailments. Maurer, 2018. What to look out for in foods. While the basic concept of the keto diet is quite simple, it can be easy to overlook some of the specific things to watch out for when using it. Other than cutting down the number of carbs you eat daily, you'll want to keep an eye out for these food items and consult with a doctor and nutritionist. They'll be the only people that can truly tell you what you'll need depending on the state of your health and any dietary needs you have. You should avoid using processed oils to cook, if at all possible. Vegetable oil, or even some oils that have been thought to be more healthy, like canola oil, can become spoiled without realizing it, leaving you to deal with toxicity in your foods. It can also contain too much omega-6, leaving you an imbalance when compared to the healthier omega-3. This in particular can lead to mental illness and even inflammation in the brain. Louise, 2018. Go for natural, healthier oil options like coconut, olive, or avocado oil instead. You can also use ghee, which is clarified butter, and a few other options. Remember to ask your doctor or nutritionist to explore more options, as some may be more beneficial for certain people than for others. While on the keto diet, you're already reducing the number of carbs you're consuming, which can be difficult for some people. You're doing this to lower the sugar levels in your body so that you can reach ketosis. So you might be thinking that it's acceptable to try some natural sweeteners or sugar alternatives. Unfortunately, not all of them are the best for you, so you have to be careful regarding which ones you choose. Some natural sweeteners can actually contain carbohydrates, reversing the hard work you've done. You should also avoid certain artificial sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose, acesulfame, and saccharin, which can be found in many store-bought products and at restaurants. These alternatives may claim to be a healthier option, but can actually cause us to crave more carbs and sugary foods. They can even be found in many diet products, including soda, which can be a detriment to your keto diet. Stevia, however, has been found to be beneficial for those on the keto diet. Since it's made from a leafy green plant, it's not as bad to sweeten your foods with. Remember to check up with your doctor just in case it may not be the right choice for you. While some of them claim to be healthy foods, many processed snack bars are actually not great for you. They'll sometimes include processed oils, artificial sweeteners, and other chemicals that can reverse the effects of your keto diet. To avoid this issue, we recommend making your own snacks out of natural, healthy ingredients. You'll know exactly what is included in them and how much you are allowed to eat each day. This can also be an activity that motivates you, creating a healthy habit of cooking your own snacks and preventing overeating of store-bought foods. Tips for eating out with keto. While eating out or ordering delivery food is usually not recommended due to its unhealthy nature, there are some things you can do to help it be a bit better. Firstly, it's recommended that you limit eating out quite a bit. We don't want this to be an open invitation to do it more often, but as a way to stay on course with your diet as much as possible when doing so. Next, you'll want to always look for an alternative to buns and other breads that come with your food. Some restaurants will even offer a type of vegetable wrap that is much healthier than eating bread. If they don't offer that option, simply remove the bread and offer it to someone else if you'd like to. Make sure that you choose healthier sides like steamed vegetables to replace any additional carbs in your meal, and don't be afraid of eating some extra salad since it can fill you a bit and help with digestion. Always try to choose water as your drink as opposed to anything sweet, and go for plates that offer mostly protein, as this is usually beneficial to your diet. Just watch out for any proteins that include breading or sweet sauces and ask for alternatives if they're available. Always remember that when it comes to your diet, it's always about safety first. Consult with your doctor and check up with them regularly to make sure that any of the changes you might make to your diet are safe for you. Chapter 2. Ethiopian Food and the Culture Behind It. Introduction to Ethiopian Food. Now that we've talked about the keto diet and have gotten the science of it out of the way, we can start speaking on the life and culture that Ethiopian food brings, quite literally spicing up your cuisine. It's not all about the herbs and spices that are used, however. You'll be eating with your hands a lot in traditional Ethiopian settings, but please do not lick your fingers, as this is not customary. Otherwise, don't be afraid to get in there and enjoy the rich foods and flavors using this hands-on approach. Eating as a social event. The main thing that you should know about Ethiopian culinary culture is that eating is not just what you do to survive. Every meal is thought to be an important social event, centering on bringing people together whenever food is shared. Usually served on large platters or gabeta, many Ethiopian dishes are meant to be communal, so that many people can sit down and enjoy food from the same table and truly eat together. In these settings, it's even common to see loved ones feeding each other. This act is called gursha or dajera, and it's always done by hand, usually with a type of flatbread called injera. While many different religious cultures are commonly found in Ethiopia, like Orthodox Christians, Jews, and Muslims, we're going to be covering a wide variety of foods that can be eaten regardless of religious affiliation. Keep in mind that most of the people in Ethiopia refrain from eating pork due to their religion, however. Other than that, we'll be showing you some amazing dishes and satisfying beverages that the country has to offer. Ethiopian spices and sauces. Ethiopian food is known to be flavorful, but its history is also rich. Since ancient times, Ethiopia would trade with other civilizations like Eastern, Southern, and Northern Africa, along with Middle and Southeast Asia. This allowed Ethiopian food to evolve to what it is today, not only adding to the ingredients in it, but adapting different cooking techniques as well. This blend of spices and flavors are just some of the things that give Ethiopian food so much character. Berbere. Berbere is known as one of the classic spice mixes found in Ethiopia and is used in many dishes. Berbere uses a base of finely ground Mexican chili peppers, along with many other spices, sometimes containing upwards of 20 ingredients. These can include, but are not limited to, allspice, peppercorns, cumin, coriander, ginger, cloves, fenugreek, cinnamon, paprika, salt, cardamom, and turmeric. Chefs can, of course, choose their own spices to suit their preference. Berbere is also the word for pepper in Amharic, one of the languages spoken in Ethiopia. Mitmita. Mitmita is another spice mix based on chili peppers, but is even hotter than Berbere since it uses what we know as serrano peppers. Much like Berbere, it is mixed with many other spices and ingredients that give it its own unique flavor and character. While it can be added to dishes during the cooking process, mitmita is sometimes used as a side or dip to add extra heat to your meal. Data. Data is another spicy mix of chilies that even contains Berbere. While it's generally used as a topping for some traditional Ethiopian dishes, it can also be used as a dip to add extra flavor and heat to a bite of food. When it's made, it comes out as a thick paste. Korima. While this spice is called grain of paradise by some Ethiopians, it's actually a spice made out of plant seeds. Also known as cardamom or false cardamom, korima is a spice that can be commonly found blended into Berbere and other mixtures, but has other uses as well. Some Ethiopians will even use korima to add more flavor to their coffee. Korima seeds are also used in herbal medicine and tonics to help general health and digestive issues. Aways. Aways is actually made very easily. Once you've made Berbere with whatever ingredients you so choose, you can simply add a bit of water or oil, and possibly even a bit of wine, to it to get aways. This makes it a robust, spicy dipping sauce or additive to stir-fry dishes. Some chefs in Ethiopia will say that leaving out the oil in place of water and wine actually makes it dele, a variant of the same type of dip or sauce. Niter kibe. Sometimes written as NITIR space KIBE or NITER space KIBBEH. This is actually a clarified and spiced butter similar to the ghee that's commonly made in India. Niter kibe is made by cooking butter with various other ingredients like onions, garlic, ginger, and multiple other spices. After it's simmered down, the solids are strained to leave only the butter that is used in many of Ethiopia's delicious dishes. Injera. Now, injera is going to be a bit tricky to cover in this book. The reason is not for its complexity in cooking or consuming, mind you. The fact of the matter is that injera is a flatbread, and as you know about the keto diet, we are trying to teach you how to limit your intake of carbohydrates. That being said, it doesn't mean that you can never enjoy this Ethiopian staple with the rest of your meals. Remember that you still do have a daily allowance of carbs, albeit a small amount usually, depending on your diet. There are, however, some ways that you can make injera and still enjoy it during keto without adding too many carbs to your diet, which we'll cover a bit later. Just know for now that injera is a staple of Ethiopian cuisine and is eaten with many meals there and even as a snack. Injera has a quality similar to sourdough because of its fermented batter and comes out spongy and almost like a crepe. This is how Ethiopians eat with their hands. They simply tear off a piece of injera and grab a morsel of food as their next bite. Filling and plentiful in Ethiopian culture, there will hardly be a place without an abundance of it in one's home or restaurant. Other Ethiopian breads. While injera is considered a staple across Ethiopia, there are a few other types of bread, or dabo, to choose from, ranging from common to only used on special occasions. Difo dabo is simply a traditional bread that is wrapped in a false banana leaf, known as enset, while baking. Kocho is made from the same enset plant, but the ingredients come from the trunk, which is ground up, buried, and fermented before use. Ambasha is similar to a traditional dabo, but is a bit thinner and is carved to make markings on the top of it before baking. Hibist is made by steaming instead of baking the dough, leaving it light when compared to other breads. Dabo kolo is prepared normally at first, but is then cut into small pieces, fried or baked, and can also be made spicy by mixing them with berberry before slicing. Kita is a flatbread similar to a pita that can be eaten for breakfast or as a snack. Traditional Ethiopian dishes. Doro wat. Doro wat is now known as one of the most famous meals made in Ethiopia. It is even considered the national dish. At its core, it's a chicken stew that is generally stewed for hours in a spicy onion sauce called kulet, causing the ingredients to almost disintegrate while cooking. Because of the length of time it takes to cook, it is usually only served on special occasions or holidays in Ethiopia, although modern restaurants across the globe may serve it as a staple. Served with hard-boiled eggs and made with the famous berberry, this dish would be sure to satisfy and possibly bite back with spice a bit. Minchet. While minchet may not be a popular dish in a lot of Ethiopian households, this protein-packed meal is considered one of the best by many for its full flavor. Minchet is a stew made with ground or minced meat and berberry. It is normally served with boiled eggs on top and in the center of a meat platter, or mabarawi. Kwat. Known simply as K to Ethiopians, kwat is a stew similar to minchet, but it uses chunks of meat instead of ground meat. This meal also comes with the customary boiled eggs and is served in the middle of a mabarawi. Tibs. Tibs, or tibsi, is a meal that can simply translate to fried meat, but this dish is so much more than that. A stir-fry dish containing cubed proteins, usually beef, lamb, or goat, with onions and peppers. It is usually cooked with spices and even whole twigs of rosemary and other herbs to really enhance the flavors. This dish can also be served with vegetables and ranges from mild to hot, depending on if the cook wants to throw in some of their handmade berberry. Gomen B. Saga. Gomen is the word for the greens included in this dish, which can be completely vegetarian or include beef or lamb. Usually also including carrots, cabbage, and onion, everything is sautéed and simmered together to form this staple Ethiopian meal. Kitfo. Kitfo is another Ethiopian dish that is usually saved for special occasions. Chopped, lean beef is marinated to perfection in mitmita and niter kibe and served either raw, tera, slightly heated, lebleb, or fully cooked, yebazel. Gourd. Another dish that is commonly served raw, gourd is high-quality cubes of beef that is sometimes warmed slightly in niter kibe and eaten using injera and dipped into mitmita. Fit-fit. Fit-fit is usually a simple dish that can be prepared for breakfast or perhaps as a snack. It is the general term for mixing pieces of injera into another dish, usually containing wat. Kolo. Kolo, spelled K-O-L-O, or kolo, spelled Q-O-L-O, is simply roasted barley that is sometimes mixed with other seeds or nuts and can be eaten as a snack. Vegetarian and vegan diets made easy. While many of the dishes that we described previously contained many different kinds of meat, as well as a few that contained eggs, there are a lot of dishes in Ethiopia that are vegetarian or completely vegan. This is mostly due to many of the religious food restrictions practiced there, but these meals can mostly definitely be enjoyed by someone who simply doesn't want to partake in eating animal products. You'll actually be even more likely to find vegan or vegetarian dishes aplenty during Easter and Christmas, since many Ethiopians will be fasting or not eating meat at all during those times. Shiro. Shiro is a simple chickpea stew that's actually sold as fast food in Ethiopia, although it's also commonly served on fasting plates. It's common to find this dish available during times of fasting for locals, but can usually be found on its own regardless of the time of year. You can sometimes find that this stew comes with the option of being served thicker or a bit thinner to your preference. Net shiro is a mild version, while the metin shiro is a common variant containing the spicy Berberi. Kikalicha. Kikalicha is a common split pea stew normally found on vegetarian platters. Known as a mild stew, it can be used to balance the spice of other dishes on the platter it comes with, while still containing a full-bodied flavor. Gomen. Again, gomen is the word for greens, and this dish definitely deserves its own spot on this list. Sautéed and simmered in niter kibe, vegetables, onions, and spices come together to make a bit more of a fresh, hearty dish that's much different than the stews normally offered. A great choice for any vegetarian or vegan traveling or trying Ethiopian cuisine. Sills. Sills is a spicy yet sweet tomato stew made with onions and Berberi. It is normally served as a side dish or used in a wat. Additionally, sills is usually the base of any sauce used in pasta dishes in Ethiopia. Coffee ceremony. As much as we've talked about eating as a social event in Ethiopia, the process of the coffee, or buna, ceremony is something to experience. It is said that drinking coffee actually may have originated in Ethiopia, so it makes sense that it holds such an important place in its culture. Ethiopians aren't only versed in their own version of coffee, they can also make you an espresso due to the Italian occupation there during World War II. With such a rich history, the customs and flavors presented by the coffee ceremony are surely reflected. In most homes, the area where the coffee is prepared is even ceremonial, keeping special furniture that is usually surrounded by grass and can only be used by the coffee maker, who is always a woman. As the ceremony starts, the host will begin to roast your coffee beans there on the spot in a pan called a birit mitad over a small charcoal oven. This is meant to enhance the aroma in the room, the host going around to spread the smell throughout so that you can more highly anticipate your delicious reward after. It is also customary to burn frankincense to help clear the air a bit afterward. The mix of coffee and frankincense is also used as a welcome for others to join and gather around for the festivities. This time is used for locals to talk about their lives, sharing and chatting about anything they'd like to. These ceremonies can last from at least 20 minutes, or even extend to a few hours. If the small community is all included, the responsibility of hosting the ceremony is even rotated throughout the households so that everybody gets a chance to host and rest on days that they don't hold the event themselves. During this time of waiting, hosts do not leave their guests to go hungry, serving them snacks like popcorn, Fendisha or Kolo. Once the coffee beans have finished roasting, it's time to grind them down. A traditional tool, called a mukicha, is used to do so and works similarly to a mortar and pestle. The traditional pot, called a jabina, is used to boil clean water and eventually mix with coffee. Once it's finally brewed to the liking of the host, she then pours coffee into small, handleless cups to be served to her guests. While coffee can be traditionally served with sugar, other sweeteners like honey or even niter kibe are commonly used as well. The ceremony isn't quite over at the time that you finish your cup, however. It is customary to serve 3 rounds of coffee, the first being the strongest, called a bowl. Tona, meaning medium, is the second cup, while the third and final cup is the weakest, going by the name baraka. While the final cup of coffee you drink during the ceremony may be the weakest in strength, it can be considered the most important, even being thought of as a blessing to the drinker. Other popular drinks. While coffee is one of the many staples of Ethiopian cuisine, as well as a much celebrated ceremony in the country, it's not the only thing the locals love to drink. Tea, or shai, is known to be second only to coffee there. Atmit is a drink made with barley and oat flour mixed with sugar and niter kibe. It's usually cooked until thick and is sometimes used to comfort mothers after giving birth and those with the flu. Some others in Ethiopia enjoy it regularly, however, for its smoothness and sweet taste. Popular drinks for adults. For those that want to enjoy an alcoholic drink when visiting Ethiopia, you need not worry. There are a few different types of drinks available for many tastes, including some beer, wine, and even honey mead. Beer. There are many brands of store-bought beer in Ethiopia, including Bedel, Castel, Danrika, Dashan, Habesha, Harar, St. George, and Walla. Tella. Tella is also beer, but is much different than anything you can buy in the world since it's actually brewed at home. For this reason, the strength of the drink will be different from place to place. Tej, a strong honey wine, or what's normally called mead. Tej is commonly found all over Ethiopia. The sweetness of tej, depending on whoever brews it, hides most of the alcohol taste and makes this one of the more popular choices. As with most alcohols, its potency and flavor increases the longer it is stored. Wine. Store-bought wine has only become more popular in Ethiopia within the last few years, including some brands like Awash, Aksumit, Castel, and Gabeta. It is most popular in large cities like the capital, Addis Ababa. Iraqi. You'll have a hard time finding alcohol that is stronger than Iraqi in Ethiopia. Similar to what some would normally call moonshine, it can contain alcohol levels of about 45%. Some Ethiopians will take a shot of Iraqi when their stomach is upset. Chapter 3. How to do keto the Ethiopian way. If you're reading this book as an introduction to Ethiopian culinary culture and the keto diet, you've learned quite a bit now. While the keto diet alone will improve your health, implementing the amazing culture of Ethiopian food into it will make it flavorful and lively. This is the section where you'll learn a few tips and tricks that will help you eat some of the great food that Africa has to offer while still following your diet and losing weight. Keto and Ethiopian spices. One of the best things about implementing Ethiopian food into the keto diet is that a lot of it is naturally carb-free. Take the most popular spice, for example. Berbere, depending on how you make it, is completely free of any carbs, making a robust mix of flavors and heat available for many of the dishes you can cook. Who said that dieting had to be boring? Even though you'll have to adjust some of the things you make from Ethiopian cuisine, your food will never lack spice as long as you're adding some berbere. Here is a simple recipe for berbere that you can make yourself. Ingredients: 1/4 teaspoon allspice, 1/2 teaspoon black peppercorns, 2 teaspoons cumin seeds, 1/2 teaspoon coriander seeds, 1/2 teaspoon ginger, 4 cloves, 1 teaspoon fenugreek seeds, 1/3 teaspoon cinnamon, 3 tablespoons paprika, 1 tablespoon salt, 10 small dried red chilies, 3/4 teaspoon cardamom seeds, 1/4 teaspoon turmeric. Directions: place and mix the cardamom seeds, allspice, coriander seeds, cumin, peppercorns, fenugreek seeds, and cloves on low heat for about 2 minutes, stirring constantly. Take them off the heat and let the spices cool for about 5 minutes. Remove the stems from the red chilies. Using a grinder or mortar and pestle, grind down and mix the cooked spices and chilies. Mix this with the remaining ingredients. Keep the Burberry mix in a covered jar and it is ready to serve. Remember that you can adjust the spices to your taste or dietary needs, whether you'd like it less spicy or mixed with other herbs. Also know that you can buy the already ground version of any herbs. Just be careful of additives that you may not want in your foods. How to adjust Ethiopian food to keto. While Ethiopian food isn't exactly bad for you, some of the things found in the cuisine can contain carbs, like most of the breads and some sauces and drinks. There are a few things you can do to help you stick to your diet while eating some of the delicious Ethiopian food available. If you're going to be eating out at an Ethiopian restaurant, make sure that you go for the basic protein and spiced dishes. Easier said than done in a cuisine with so much to offer, we know. But don't worry, adjusting Ethiopian food to your specific keto needs is simple once you get the hang of what to watch out for. Restricting injera and other types of bread. Injera, as you know now, is a staple of Ethiopian cuisine and is found paired with many dishes across the country. It is served in almost every home and any restaurant you can find that serves Ethiopian food. Injera is, however, a carbohydrate that you have to be careful of eating too much of when performing the keto diet. While it can be easy to reach your maximum allowance of daily carbs by eating just a bit of injera, make sure that you limit yourself and keep track of how much you're consuming. Using carbulose flour and flaxseed. While injera and other breads might be high in carbohydrates, making them yourself can lead to a diet that allows more of them. Carbulose flour contains up to 80% fewer carbohydrates than regular flour, which is amazing for anyone who is practicing keto. This means that you can possibly make your own injera at home and not have to worry as much about going over your daily limit of carbs. Flaxseed flour is another great option that will allow you to make many of the Ethiopian breads while keeping the level of carbs in them to a minimum. The added benefit of using flaxseed flour is that it doesn't contain gluten, which is great for those that have an allergy or are trying to reduce gluten intake in general for their diet. Using healthy fats. As we've already mentioned, the keto diet requires you to get a certain amount of fat in your daily intake. Depending on the method of keto that you use, it can take up to 60 to 75% of your daily calories, which is a lot to adjust to if you're new to changing your diet. The popular clarified Ethiopian butter, niter kibe, while containing some carbs, is actually a great source of some fats that can be used in many of the dishes that we've talked about in this book already. Also, look toward including meats or other proteins that naturally include some fats, as well as nuts or seeds. Foods to eat. It goes without saying that you can eat a lot of Ethiopian cuisine without having to worry too much about inhibiting your keto diet. Many of the vegetarian dishes are naturally carb-free, and all of the various meat dishes are too, for the most part. Simply hold off on eating too much of the traditional injera, and you should be fine. Remember that if you're cooking for yourself, which is one of the best ways to ensure that the food you're eating is healthy for you and fits your needs, you can make certain breads out of carbulose or flaxseed flour to greatly reduce the number of carbs you eat. Foods to avoid. As we've already mentioned, a lot of the food included in Ethiopian cuisine is already fine to eat while on the keto diet. Traditional injera can be high in carbs, so make sure that if you choose to eat it, you limit it to your daily carb intake. Again, look to alternatives to regular flour to help this situation. Also, be careful with sauces and drinks that are sweetened with refined sugar or honey, since they can also be detrimental to your keto diet. Another thing to point out is that drinking alcohol is not usually recommended for any diet. However, some are better than others. Beer, for instance, is always higher in carbohydrate content than other liquors, so definitely avoid it when you can, or only have enough to get you to your daily limit. This is still not recommended since it's not healthy for you, but try not to go over your limit regardless. High alcohol content liquor, like Iraqi in Ethiopian culture, is usually okay, but can still contain many calories. Be careful of blending liquors with mixers, however, as these can usually contain refined sugars that impede your keto progress. Wine is usually the best choice, but still contains some carbs, while mead, or honey wine, will contain many more carbohydrates, so keep this in mind and choose your drinks carefully. Chapter 4. Sample Ethiopian Keto Meals. While we've already covered many of the great dishes that Ethiopian cuisine has to offer, there are so many more meals that are enjoyed, whether it normally comes on a large shared plate or is regularly eaten as a snack. We'll be going through many of these items and letting you know how to adjust them to your keto diet if necessary. Remember that no matter what, you should always consult with a professional doctor on your personal health and how changing your diet can affect you. Drinks. We've already covered some of the popular Ethiopian drinks, including coffee and the ceremony behind it, but there are a few choices other than that and alcohol. Keto. Also known as Keto, Keto is a non-alcoholic beverage that is similar to Tella. While it can be enjoyed by those who are staying alcohol-free at the time, be aware that this drink is made of barley flour and sweetened, so drink it sparingly. If you really want to try some, make sure that you are allowing yourself some carbs to make up for the amount in this drink. Board. A fermented drink popular among the southern parts of Ethiopia, board is made from cereal and may contain carbohydrates, so beware. Remember that when it comes to most coffee and tea made in traditional Ethiopian settings, sweeteners are your biggest concern. Try to see if sugar alternatives, like stevia-based products, are available, or do your best to drink it plain. Niter is also an option that is used to flavor hot drinks and is a good source of fats that you need while on the keto diet. Popular Ethiopian breakfasts. These are some of the foods that Ethiopians will commonly enjoy for breakfast in the morning. While they might contain some carbs, you can easily substitute them for something else or omit them entirely. You can also customize these dishes as you see fit if you're cooking them yourself. Chechebsa. Also known as Kita furfur, chechebsa is another food made from kita, a type of flatbread, so make sure to cook this one with carbolose or flaxseed flour to minimize the carbs. Usually seasoned with berberry, this is a spicy morning treat. While it's normally served with a side of honey or yogurt, make sure you limit or change things according to your diet, since honey has natural carbs in it already. Kinch. Similar to the oatmeal that other cultures have, kinch can be made from barley, cracked wheat, Ethiopian oats, or a mixture of any of these ingredients. While they contain carbohydrates, you can save your allowance to be able to eat this lovely dish in the morning and keep yourself full for an extended period of time. You can also eat these types of dishes before or after a workout, depending on the method of keto you're practicing. Enkalal furfur. This simple dish is an Ethiopian twist on the basic scrambled eggs that many already enjoy. Enhanced by using the multi-purpose clarified butter, Niter, these eggs also usually contain various vegetables like chilies, green and red peppers, onions, and tomatoes. While this dish is normally eaten with a type of bread roll, you can omit them or make your own with the regular flour alternatives we've mentioned before. Duelet. Duelet is a dish made from the stomach lining, also known as tripe, of your choice of animal, but don't let that stop you from trying this delicious meal. It is normally cooked alongside beef, liver, onions, chilies, and spiced with cardamom and pepper. Fatira. This is another meal that you may have to make yourself using the flour alternatives we've recommended, either carbulose or flaxseed flour. Fatira is a combination of egg filling with a thin layer of pastry over and under it. Fatira is also sold as a street food in some places, but be aware that this dish usually contains honey and is a source of a lot of carbs if you're not cooking it yourself. Fuel. Also popular in the Middle East, fuel is a stew composed of spiced fava beans and various vegetables and spices, including cumin, parsley, garlic, and some lemon juice. Traditionally cooked using vegetable oil, you can change that for a healthier shortening to make it a bit healthier. Budasha. Budasha is a porridge, but it's actually made from chickpea flour, although it can still be high in carbohydrates. Be careful when eating this dish. Make sure you at least have a good allowance of carbs for the day before enjoying it. This is another food that you can also have on days that you're exercising, depending on if you're performing a type of keto that requires it. Appetizers and salads. While many Ethiopian foods are eaten from large platters for many to share at once, there are some smaller side dishes that deserve some of the spotlight. Ayab. Ayab is actually a cheese product, although not aged or pressed as most others might be. It is instead drained, allowing the curds and whey to separate. It's usually served as a side to cleanse the palate from spicy dishes a bit, but can also be consumed on its own with the help of spices for taste. Azifa. Azifa is a simple salad made from lentils, jalapenos, and onions. Usually seasoned with ginger, turmeric, and lime juice, this is a refreshing dish to begin your meal or simply to be used as a palate cleanser as well. Fasiola. Fasiola is a very simple dish containing string beans, with carrots and caramelized onions normally added in. Sautéed together, this can be a deliciously healthy appetizer to have before your main course. Kesur. This salad contains mainly marinated beets, from which the name is translated, meaning red root, but is usually combined with potatoes, carrots, and spices for flavor. It's a nicely refreshing salad to have alongside your savory and usually spicy meal. Ingare Tibs. While Tibs is normally a full meal on its own, this version of it is geared towards vegans and vegetarians for its omission of meat. In this case, mushrooms are used instead of cubed meats, and it can serve as a welcome change from all of the proteins that normally come with large platters. Shared plates. Eating in general is thought of as a social event in Ethiopia, and these large mixed platters of food are just one way to enjoy many dishes at once. They come in both vegetarian and meat options and always offer a plethora of different foods on each, usually with a staple food in the center. While there are some dishes that are more commonly found than others, you'll usually find a great variety depending on what the chef has made fresh that day. You can always learn some of the recipes yourself and make them to your preference as well. Bayanatu. Bayanatu can be roughly translated to mean a bit of everything, which is a near-perfect description of this large mixed platter of foods. Usually served with injera, as usual, with multiple vegetables on top, gomen, kale, tilkil gomen, cabbage, and different types of lentil and split pea stews that can include shiro wat, miser wat, alekakik, or messerkik. These dishes make bayanatu one of the most popular dishes in Ethiopia, since the majority of people will be following religious guidelines, prohibiting them from eating meat on certain days or during fasting periods that hold importance in their corresponding faith. Mabarawi. Mabarawi is essentially the meat lover's version of bayanatu. Instead of only including vegetarian and vegan stews, it usually contains proteins like kwat, beef stew, tibs, cubes of meat, usually including beef, goat, or lamb, and kitfo, marinated ground beef. This is a perfect mix of foods for those that want a variety of foods containing different proteins. This dish can also help get you to eat more protein, as it adheres to the keto diet.